Let me sing a funny song with crazy words that roll along. If my song can start you laughing, I'm happy, so happy. Let me sing a sad refrain of broken hearts that loved in vain. And if my song can start you crying, I'm happy. Let me cruise a low-down blues that lifts you out of your seat. If my song can reach your shoes and start you tapping your feet, I'm happy. Let me sing. I want to sing of Dixie's charms, of cotton fields and Mammy's arms. And if my song can make you homesick, I'm happy.
In fact, John Cook and Frank Van Straten moving very gracefully into the studio, because every Tuesday night between 9 and 10 we present Nostalgia on 774 3LO. One important note, because next week, of course, Parliament resumes with the budgetary session, and the budget is brought down on Tuesday night, Mr Van Straten will have to move very rapidly aside, because the budget and Mr Keating, Mr Van Straten take precedence over you. I hate to tell you, but you will be moving to Wednesday night. Would that be all right?
That'd be fine.
Okay, because we can't miss out on the program. 9 to 10 next Wednesday. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favourites, because I asked Frank to do this a couple of months ago, Al Jolson. We're going to feature Al Jolson in all his glory between now and 10 o'clock, so batten your earlids back for this.
Use the powder every day, the rest should take the Colgate way.
When you hear that jingle, you know the makers of Colgate Tooth Powder present Al Jolson, his guest Monty Woolley, and Carol Bruce, Parky Carcass, and Ray Block and his orchestra. And here's Al.
I'm sitting on top of the world, just rolling along, just rolling along. I'm quitting the blues of the world, just singing a song, just singing a song. Glory, hallelujah, I just phoned the parson. Hey, Pa, get ready to call. Just like Humpty Dumpty, I'm going to fall, and I'm sitting on top of the world, just rolling along, just rolling along. Don't want any million, I'm getting my share. I've only got one suit, just one, that's all I can wear. A bundle of money won't make me feel gay. A sweet little honey is making me sad. I'm sitting on top of the world, just rolling along, just rolling along. And I'm quitting the blues of the world, just singing a song, just singing a song. Glory, hallelujah, I just phoned a parson. Hey, Pa, get ready to call. Just like a Humpty Dumpty, I'm a-going to fall. I'm sitting on top of the world, just rolling along, just rolling along.
Why is Al Jolson such a magical performer in your view?
I think several reasons. One, he had one of those incredible voices that just comes through records so well. So a lot of people who never had the chance to see him in the flesh enjoyed him at home on the radio or on records. The other thing is that he was his own publicity machine, and it was he himself who coined the phrase, the world's greatest entertainer, and he pushed that for all he was worth. And the legend has lived on.
I've heard, I haven't read a lot about him, but I've heard he had an amazing ego, just a monstrous ego. Is that right?
I don't think he could have been the most pleasant person to work with.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, when I was compiling this program, I was trying to find for some variation records of Jolson with other people, singing with other people, and there are very, very few.
Because they didn't want to sing with him.
I think it was the other way around. I don't think he wanted to share
Fair
his
enough.
time with anybody else. We found a few, but there are not many.
His specialty, as we know, was performing dressed up in the role of a black performer all those years ago. They would have said, of course, in those days, a Negro performer. Why did he do that? Why was that such an important part of his act, Frank?
Well, it's an interesting thing. It probably would be unacceptable now, but in those days, the minstrel shows which travelled the United States at the turn of the century were, for the most part, white performers, and it was traditional for them to put on blackface and virtually ape the what they thought were the Negro mannerisms. It was very offensive to black people, and there were, in fact, some black minstrel troupes as well. But Jolson, in his teens, joined what was the last of the great surviving minstrel troupes, run by a man called Lou Dockstader. And it was with that troupe that he really got his start, having been born in Russian Lithuania on a date that's sort of lost in the mists of time. The family apparently lost all their personal papers in a storm on the way over to the United States, so they were never really quite sure of when little Asa Jolson was born. But the family went to Washington, and his father was a rabbi and cantor and taught young Asa singing. And he ran away from home, inevitably, and joined Dockstader's travelling minstrel show. And there, as we said, he put on the blackface and travelled around the United States for many years. And I noticed that he was in San Francisco at the time of the earthquake, and was one of the people...
He didn't start it, did he?
I think he could have. I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. But and he was entertaining in makeshift theatres, you know, for the refugees who had nowhere to stay. And shortly after that, he got himself back to New York and found that the Dockstader Minstrel Company was taken over by the Schuberts, who were very big entrepreneurs, and they were building a new theatre. So they thought they would put the Dockstader troupe into this new theatre, which was the Winter Garden, and Jolson was included, and inevitably he stole the show. That was his big break on Broadway in 1911 in a show called La Belle Paris. And then he followed that with a show called Vera Violetta. But all these early shows are virtually forgotten. But some of the songs that were in them that he made his own have survived. And in fact, during the run of Vera Violetta, he made his very first record. This is way back in 1911. It's probably a little bit archaic now, but it's interesting to hear the young Jolson belting out a song by George M. Cohan called That Haunting Melody.
A melody that's made an awful hit with me. Da 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 da. I don't know where I heard it, but I liked it from the start. It seems that I preferred it, 'cause it got right to my heart. It lingers in my brain. I've nearly gone insane. Oh, I love that strain of melody. Where have I heard that melody? It seems so familiar to me. It goes da 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 da. It's floating in the air. It's everywhere. I hear it here. I hear it.
Al Jolson, the first ever recording, which goes back, how many years would that be?
Oh, I've run out of fingers. It was 1911, so that makes it, what, 74?
75 years.
Yeah, 75 years old. Amazing, isn't it?
What sort of a man was he? I've read that he led a rather rugged existence. I think 4 wives and a few other things happening for him.
Yes, he was a very busy man in every possible way. He married first in 1906 to a young lady that he'd met in San Francisco, and none of his marriages lasted terribly long, and in fact he had no children. He adopted 3 children, but he had none of his own. He was, as we said, very ambitious, and I think quite a different personality privately and in business than he was on stage. On stage he was ebullient and had a wonderful rapport with his audience, but I don't think that rapport extended beyond the footlights. It was success, I suppose. He, especially in his earlier years, he didn't seem to be able to do anything wrong, and he was greatly admired as a performer by the profession as well as the public. He had a string of great successes. It's interesting to look back on those shows because, as I say, they're largely forgotten now, and it must have been Jolson and the personality that made them work, because nobody else has ever done those shows. It worked without him.
Did he lead, as many people did, of course, at that time, a pretty hectic existence as far as the wine, women and song situation?
Yeah, I'm sure. And in fact, the biographies tell some most horrendous tales of sort of nights on the town.
Yeah. Can you perhaps allude to one or two of them now, or did they escape us?
Oh, I don't know. It served his memory too well by bringing them out. But I mean, even when he was in hospital, apparently the nurses were in mortal danger of their honour from this apparently very sick man in the hospital bed.
Oh, dear me. Well, there was life in the man yet. Al Jolson, ladies and gentlemen, on 77430 tonight on Nostalgia with Frank Van Straten and John Cook, and we're talking about Al Jolson right through until 10.
Well, take his story up a few years to, say, 1914, 1916. By this time he was earning $2,500 a week, which was a lot of money. And his first show at that new salary was a thing called Robinson Crusoe Jr., which was another Winter Garden show. He was actually resident of the Winter Garden for many years, and so much so that other people who starred there afterwards always felt they were in Jolson's shadow. And this is the theme song from Robinson Crusoe Jr. Where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night?
Over 1,000 years or maybe more, out on an island on a lonely shore, Robinson Crusoe landed one fine day. No rent to pay, no wife to obey. His good man Friday was his only friend. He didn't borrow or lend. They built a little hut, lived there till Friday, but Saturday night it was shut. Where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? Every Saturday night they would start in the road, and on Sunday morning they come staggering home. They went hunting for rabbits when the weather grew colder, but Crusoe came home with a hair on his shoulder. Now where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? Robinson Crusoe was a good old scout. Robinson Crusoe knew his way about. He'd go out hunting chickens now and then, but he knew when he was chasing a hen. Once he told Friday, you must stay at home. I've gotta go out alone. Friday felt very blue. He said, it's wrong of you. Couldn't you fix it for two? Where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? One fine Saturday night, they had nothing to do, so they started counting all the girlies they knew. Friday counted till 13, and Crusoe said, brother, you know, 13's unlucky. Let's go get another. So where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? Where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? every Saturday night they would start in the row, and on Sunday morning they come staggering home. On this island live wild men in cannibal trimming, and you know where there are wild men, there must be wild women. So where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night?
Old Jolson featured on Nostalgia tonight on 77430. It's 19 minutes past 9. Where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? Did you ever work out, in fact, where they did go, Frank, or was that a furphy?
I don't know. It's a fun song, though, isn't it? I'm not quite sure where they did go. But that show was followed a few years on, 1918, by a show called Sinbad. And the main attraction of Sinbad was a song, and it was called Swanee, and it was written for Jolson by George Gershwin. It was George Gershwin's first great hit. And Jolson didn't record it at the time, but he did record it subsequently a number of times, and the version I chose is a very lively one from a Bing Crosby radio show of the 40s, and this is introduced by Bing Crosby.
Excellent taste. It's guest time once again, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, our guest is Mr. Jolson. I guess it's agreed that a lot of words aren't necessary to describe what he does or how well he does it. Jolie always comes on big, and he comes on singing.
I've been away from you a long time. I never thought I'd miss you so. Somehow I feel your love is real. Near you I want to be. The birds are singing, it is song time. The banjo's running soft and low. I know that you yearn for me too. Swanee, you're calling me. Swanee, how I love you, my dear old Swanee. I'd give the world to be among the folks in DIX. I even know my mammy's waiting for me, praying for me down by the Swanee. The folks up north won't see me no more when I get to that Swanee shore. I love the old folks at home. Swanee, how I love you, my dear old Swanee. The folks up north won't see me no more when I get to that Swanee shore.
He was also a songwriter. He wrote a number of songs and introduced in that show, Sinbad, a song called Avalon, which is an interesting one because as soon as it came out, he was sued. And he was sued by the Puccini estate because they said this song sounds too much like The Stars Were Brightly Shining from Tosca. And in fact, they won the case, and Jolson paid $25,000 in compensation and laughed all the way to the bank because it meant he owned the song, got all the royalties from it. Every time it was played, he still got money. And he did very well out of that. And I have listened to this track again and again, and I can't pick The Stars Were Brightly Shining. Perhaps our listeners can. But this particular version of it was recorded for the film, the Jolson story, and never used. So it's an interesting version in itself. And it's in fact on twice with two different orchestrations. So let's have a listen to Avalon.
I found my love in Avalon beside the bay, and I left my love in Avalon as I sailed away. I dream of her and Avalon from dusk till dawn. So I think I'll travel on to Avalon. found my love in Avalon beside the bay. And I left my love in Avalon as I sailed away. I dream of her and Avalon from dusk till a dawn. So I think I'll travel on to Avalon.
Avalon by Al Jolson. Who else? And you couldn't pick anything of Puccini in there at all?
Not a word.
When you said about the royalties, that's interesting because that must have been a very recorded song at that time and even recently.
Yes, that's right. And of course,
A lot
Jolson
of people sang that song.
Yeah, and Jolson gets all the money, or the Jolson estate does, and not Puccini.
Not a bad outlay for 25,000 all those years ago.
Yeah. The next, talking about outlays too, Jolson's next triumph was a singular one, to have a Broadway theatre named after him. Jolson's 59th Street Theatre, which opened in 1921 with a show called Bombo. Again, the show's forgotten, but the song from Bombo was a beauty, and I don't think we need to even say the name because everybody will know it immediately we play it.
When the wintry winds are blowing and the snow is starting in the fall, then my eyes turn westward, knowing that's the place that I love best of all. California, I've been blue since I've been away from you. I can't wait till I get going. Even now, I'm starting in the call. Oh, California, here I come, right back where I started from, where bowers of flowers bloom in the sun. Each morning, that dawning birdies sing and everything I've done. Miss that, don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up your golden gate, California, here I come. California, here I come, right back where I started from, where the bowers of flowers bloom in the sun. Each morning, that dawning birdies sing and everything a sun. Miss that, don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up your golden gate, California, here I come. California, here I come, right back where I started from, where the bowers of flowers bloom in the sun. Each morning, that dawning birdies sing and everything a sun. Miss that, don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up your golden gate, California, here I come.
Who else but Al Jolson, California, Here I Come. And speaking of movies, Al Jolson, quite a few credits in this line. Now, most people probably, if you press them, would turn around and say, I've got a feeling Al Jolson made the first talkie ever. Is that right?
Yes, he did. First feature talkie. It was a film called The Jazz Singer, which was adapted from a stage play which had been done in New York by Georgie Jessel. And the Warner Brothers was a very impoverished studio in Hollywood who had the film rights. It was about the only thing they had in their favour was the film rights for the jazz singer. And they also had an invention called the Vitaphone. And this had been hawked around to all the other studios who'd knocked it back. And they were in really desperate financial straits. So they thought, well, why don't we try a talking film of the jazz singer? So they tried to get Eddie Cantor as the lead, and he wouldn't do it. He said, it's a crazy idea. So they finally settled on Al Jolson. Jolson was a great one for introducing new things. He loved experimenting, and talking films were just up his alley. So he hot-footed it over to the Warner Brothers studio and recorded the songs for the jazz singer. And it was interesting that in those days all Warner saw was the potential for songs, not for dialogue. And it was because Jolson ad-libbed some of the introductions to his songs that they realised that there was potential for dialogue as well as for songs. And this is an actual recording of the trailer for the jazz singer as it was played in New York in 1927.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am privileged to say a few words to you in this most modern and novel manner. Privileged because it's the first living Vitaphone announcement ever made announcing the coming of one of the year's outstanding pictures. What is the picture? Oh, well, of course. You've guessed that I'm referring to Warner Brothers' supreme triumph, Al Jolson in The Jazz Singer, with May McAvoy and Warner Olin, and a superb cast directed by Alan Crosby. And it was taken from the play written by Samson Raffleson. Now, this picture, with Vitaphone accompaniment and Al Jolson singing many of his songs in his own inimitable manner, is a big hit in New York, to such an extent that Warner Brothers Theater in New York City, where the jazz singer is now playing, is sold out for many weeks in advance. Now, I'm going to show you how they were trying to get in to see the opening performance of the jazz singer in New York City. There we have Jesse Lasky and Morris Guest and his wife. And Joe Skank with the bowler. And Louis Silver. He's the chap who wrote the score for the jazz singer. And there's Herbert Brandon, the great, the chap with the cane. Oh, and there's Lou Cody. And Harry Wardell, America's favorite soprano. And there's Buster Collier, yeah. Oh, Buster's a little bashful. And Lita Gray Chaplin. Who's this? Oh, that looks like Irving Berlin with the glasses there, is it? And there's Ben Burney and his jazz band. Ben came out. Oh, and here's Johnny Hines. Oh, hot beat boy. Go right after it. Attaboy, Johnny. Huh? Going right in. Now, and Al Jolson himself. Ah, boy, Al. He's sure happy face tonight, huh? We even have a cop. They're always there. How do you like that crowd? Well, tremendous opening, wasn't it? Now, I'm going to show you a few scenes of what the crowd saw on the inside of the theater. Well, how do you like that? Yeah? Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, brothers and sisters, as Al himself would put it. You, know that little scene you just saw there? Well, that was the inspiration for the theme song of Mother O' Mine, which runs all through the picture. It was written by Al and Lou Silvers. Now, I'm going to let you see a few more scenes of the jazz singer. Well, it was great, wasn't it? Now, these few little scenes that you have just seen only give you a vague idea of the rare treat that is in store for you when America's foremost entertainer makes his appearance here in the Jazz Singer. And at that time, you are not only going to have the opportunity of seeing Mr. Jolson, but through this marvelous invention, Vitaphone, you are also going to be able to hear him talk as well as sing. And, oh, mamma, how that bird can warble. And now, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but don't forget, at this theater, Al Jolson in the Jazz Singer. Good night.
Blue sky, smiling at me, nothing but blue sky do I see. Oh, to, bluebirds singing a song, nothing but little bluebirds all day long. I never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, oh, don't they fly? Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. You like that, Mama? I'm glad of it. I'd rather please you than anybody I know of. Oh, darling, will you give me something? What? You'll never guess. Shut your eyes, Mama. Shut them for little Jackie. Oh, I'm going to steal something. I'll give it back to you someday, too. You see if I don't. Mama, darling, if I'm a success in this show, well, we're going to move from here. Oh, yes, we're going to move up in the Bronx. A lot of nice green grass up there and a whole lot of people you know. There's the Ginsbergs, the Guttenbergs, and the Goldbergs. Oh, a whole lot of birds. I don't know them all. And I'm going to buy you a nice black silk dress, Mama. You see, Mrs. Friedman, the butcher's wife, she'll be jealous of you. Oh, no, yes, she will. You see if she isn't. And I'm going to get you a nice pink dress that'll go with your brown eyes.
No,
What do you mean, no? Who is telling you? What do you mean, no? Yes, you'll wear pink or else. Or else you'll wear pink. $10? Oh, I'm going to take you to Coney Island. Yeah? Yes, I'm going to ride on the shoot-to-shoot. And, you know, in the dark mill? Yeah. Ever been in the dark mill? No, well, with me, it's all right. I'll kiss you and hug you, you feel my Now, Mama, stop now. You're getting kittenish. Mama, listen, I'm going to sing this like I will if I go on the stage, you know, with this show. I'm going to sing it jazzy. Now, get this. Blue sky, smiling at me, me. Nothing but little blue sky. Do I see? Do. Bluebird singing a song. Nothing but little bluebird all day long. You like that slapping business? Never saw the sun shining so bright. Never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, oh, don't they fly? Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but
26 minutes to 10, and if you just tuned in, we're featuring Al Jolson on Nostalgia tonight, and that from the original talkie movie, The Jazz Singer. Did he make a lot of money out of that and get a lot of plaudits and fame and things of that nature?
Well, of course, it was immensely successful, but the film that followed it, which was called The Singing Fool, was even more successful, and in fact it remained the top box office film in the United States until Gone with the Wind came along in '39. And the money was just rolling in. Interestingly, the contract that he signed in 1927 with Columbia Records was earning him $7,000 a side, plus royalties. That's a lot of money. And he was drawing in around about $10,000 a week in Hollywood. Tremendous. And he was worth several $1 million by this time. The other thing which occurred around here was a meeting with a young, hopeful starlet at the Warner Brothers studios, whose name was Ruby Keeler. And because they met and married in 1928, again another stormy marriage, and it was Jolson's third. He was appearing in a film called Mammy, a film version of a Broadway show he'd done, and this is a recording he made at that time called There's a Rainbow Round My Shoulder. I think it's interesting for a couple of reasons. One is the incredible whistling, which he taught himself to do when his voice broke when he was a teenager, and he had to do something to keep his act going, so he whistled. And the other thing is, he was never content with the people who worked with him. They were never content they were doing their best, especially his musical directors. And in this, if you listen very carefully, about halfway through, you can hear him telling the conductor, get hot. In other words, he wants the band to play a bit more aggressively. So here's, again, from 1927, There's a Rainbow Around My Shoulder.
I'm happy, so happy, walking on air, the why and the wherefore. It's someone I care for. I'm yelling, I'm telling folks everywhere. I know that she loves me, so what do I care? There's a rainbow around my shoulder, and a sky of blue above. Oh, the sun shines bright, the world's all right, 'cause I'm in love. There's a rainbow around my shoulder, and it fits me like a glove. Let it blow and storm, I'll be warm, 'cause I'm in love. Hallelujah, how the folks will stare when they see that great big solitaire. Say, my little sugar baby, is going away. There's a rainbow around my shoulder, and a sky of blue above. And I'm shouting so the world will know that I'm in love. Baby, 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 he's
say one thing about Jolson that certainly appeals to me, being a little bit further down the track, I suppose, as far as the years go by, never having been aware of him in that contemporary sense, but having listened to the records even when I was a young kid, the tremendous effervescence of the man. That's what, being a rock and roll fan and things like that, that's what grabbed me. I love a dynamic and a charged performer, and he was all of those things, wasn't he?
There's a great joy that comes through, too. Great communication thing.
A very, very, as you said it before, a very ebullient performer.
Yeah, and it works, it still works. There's a sort of naivety about the things, too. I mean, and when you look at the titles of the songs, the rainbow around the shoulder thing, the sky is blue above, they're all totally banal, really, the lyrics, but he makes them work.
Try singing that in the depths of Harlem or in the middle of the American Depression.
We've got a song coming up, actually, a couple of tracks, where he sings Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? And it's one of the very few serious records.
With the pathos to it, yeah.
Yeah, he does it very well. It's very hard to find anything with Ruby Keeler. As far as I'm aware, they never recorded together in song, but I did find an extract from a broadcast that they did on the Lux Radio Theatre in 1936. And this is introduced by Cecil B. DeMille, and you hear a bit of chit-chat between Ruby and Al, and mention to their adopted son, and also some unbelievably clumsy references to Lux toilet soap. So here's...
I have just written an article for a national magazine on the 10 greatest fools in history. Perhaps I should have made it 11 and included the singing fool, the character that Al Jolson made the most famous fool of all. For that picture, the singing fool, broke every box office record of its day. And here they come, the singing fool and his dancing wife. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jolsons. Al and Ruby, you have enjoyed wealth, fame, and success. All the things most people dream about.
Ah, but that's nothing, Mr. DeMille, compared to the thrill I got when little Al Jr. spoke his first word. And what do you think was the first word he ever said? He said, Daddy.
No, Al. He said Mama.
Did he?
Well, didn't he?
If you say so, I guess he did. But, oh, that kid. Good, solid arms and back. Is he a husky? What a baby. Honestly, Mr. DeMille, I don't like to exaggerate, but you've never seen 10 such wiggly little toes.
Takes after his mother, doesn't he? Those twinkling toes of Ruby's.
Well, but one way he takes after his daddy, great big strong knees, a born mammy singer.
His toes from his mother and his knees from his father. His good looks, I suppose, from Lux.
Yes, sir, just like his mama. She's a Lux lady, aren't you, Ruby?
Of course I am.
As a matter of fact, Lux soap is what makes all us Jolsons so handsome.
We've had countless requests for two things, a song by Al and a dance by Ruby. Unfortunately, we haven't time for both, so which shall it be?
Oh, that's very easy, Mr. DeMille. I'll decide that. We're going to have a dance by Ruby.
Just a minute, Al. I've decided. You're going to sing.
Well, how are we going to compromise?
Al will sing.
Well, that's how it is. I guess you can see now, folks, why they call me Al Keeler.
A pretty girl is like a melody that haunts you night and a day, just like the strain of a haunting refrain. She'll start upon a marathon and run around your brain. You can't escape. She's in your memory by morning, night, and noon. She will leave you and then come back again. A pretty girl is just like a pretty tune. A pretty girl is like a melody that haunts you night and day, just like the strain of a haunting refrain. She'll start upon a marathon and run around your brain. You can't escape. She's in your memory by morning, night, and noon. She will leave you and then come back again. again. A pretty girl is just like a pretty show.
They used to tell me I was building a dream, and so I followed the mob. When there was earth to plow or guns to bear, I was always there, right on the job. They used to tell me I was building a dream, with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in line, just waiting for bread? Once I built a railroad, made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once I built a tower to the sun, brick, mortar, and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodle-de-dum. 500,000 boots went marching through hell, and I was a kid with a drum. Say, don't you remember, they called me Al. It was Al all the time. Say, don't you remember, I'm your pal. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once I built a railroad. I made it run, and I made it race against time. Once I built a railroad. Now it's done. Hey, brother, ain't got a dime about you, have you? And once I built a tower. Yes, a tower to the sun, of brick, mortar, and lime. Yes, I'm the fella built the tower, and now it's done. Hey, buddy, ain't got a dime about you, have you? Once in khaki suits, he will look swell, full of that Yankee doodle-de-dum. 500,000 boots went marching through hell, and I was a kid with a drum. Say, don't you remember? Don't you remember? They called me Al. It was Al all the time. Don't you remember? I'm your pal. Brother, can you spare a dime?
The time of the century that seemed to produce, we were just saying, Peter and Frank and myself talking in the studio, produced some most intense melodrama, which today might seem a bit corny, but must have been very effective, Frank, on audiences then, would you say?
Very powerful. I mean, the social statements in a lot of the films you mentioned, I Was a Fugitive from the Chain Gang and so on, made a tremendous statement, and against that you have the balancing things of like Gold Diggers of 1933 and Broadway Melody, things that were trying to cheer the population up at the same time as serious filmmakers and writers were really trying to bring home the tragedy of the Depression. A very rich time artistically, very rich indeed. Those were the years that Jolson made his own on radio. He carved a new career on a show called Kraft Music Hall, starting around about 1935. And he made his last appearance as a regular broadcaster in 1949 on his 64th birthday, or what was probably his 64th birthday, with the guests Groucho, Marx and Oscar Levant. And this is part of a comedy sketch which I think is fun, and I especially like this bit for two reasons. First is because it shows that Jolson, even at that stage, was looking forward to television. And secondly, it shows the superb ad-libbing. American comedy shows on radio that period were always very tightly scripted, and they sound a bit artificial. But here everything goes haywire, and the gag, which goes on and on and on, gets spoiled in the end, but it's very funny just to hear it now. And thirdly, when I play this, the tagline at the end is so appropriate for this time that it really struck me incredibly. So this is way back in 1949, Al Jolson, Groucho Marx, and Oscar Levant on the Kraft Music Hall.
Groucho, look, if I go into any business while waiting for television, it'll have to be something that can use my talents. I happen to be known as a singer, you know.
Yes, it's funny how that happened. Al, would you consider a job at a self-service nightclub?
I've worked in clubs.
I know.
Good ones in Frisco, all over, years ago, you know.
On the coast.
Oh, sure. Las Vegas, too, but anyway. Years ago, I sang in a wonderful nightclub. Every night we serve a different food.
It says lavish place here, huh?
Yeah, well, I cut it out. But anyway. I'll get this joke in if it kills me. Well, anyway.
You probably will.
Every
Why
night...
didn't you want to say lavish place, huh?
Huh?
Not good enough for you, lavish place, huh? Three writers slaving all week, and you cut out their words as soon as you...
I don't know what lavish means. Well, anyway. Every night we serve a different food.
I don't know what it means either, but it sounds good.
All right, we'll go back to it.
Okay.
Years ago, I sang in a very lavish place. All right?
Say, you've been in that place a long while, haven't you?
Well, every night they serve a different food, and the waitresses wore costumes that went with the dinner. On the night we had roast beef, they wore English costumes.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to say.
Lavish place. On the night we had enchiladas, the girls wore Spanish costumes.
How spicy.
Well, we finally got closed up.
Well, how come? Hey, Mr. Andy, you're looking for two other fellas. How come?
Well, I got to go back to it again.
Yeah.
On the night we had roast
You
beef...
going back and work in that place again?
In the lavish place.
Well, they
Anyway.
closed it up. I forgot to tell you.
Let me get this, will you?
Okay.
On the night we had roast beef, they wore English costumes.
Yeah.
On the night
How
we had...
nice. You'll get the same ad lib from me no matter how many times you say it.
On the night we had enchiladas, the girl wore Spanish costumes.
How spicy.
We finally got closed up.
Well, how come?
The chef forgot and served oysters.
Well, how come?
The chef forgot and served raw oysters. That's right.
Nothing. Jolson, how'd you like to buy a laundry?
Oh, a laundry's a good business.
Jolson, I'm not going to swindle you with an old-fashioned hand laundry where they just wash hands.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to swindle you. I'm going to swindle you in one of those stores filled with washing machines.
You mean a laundromat?
What do you know about laundromats?
Well, I took my laundry to one of those places once, and I met a beautiful girl at the next machine. I was so excited, we got our bundles mixed. And today I'm the only man in the casino who wears black lace undies.
A likely story and probably true.
To your husband. The citation for this award is as follows. Al Jolson, for his tremendous contribution to the welfare and morale of troops fighting in the United Nations action in Korea. A civilian who had spent himself completely in contributing his talents to promote the security of the country he loved so dearly.
Swanee, how I love you, my dear old Swanee. You won't stop now, won't see me no more. When I get to that Swanee song. You ain't heard nothing yet. Oh, you don't know what it is coming up here, no kidding. I wouldn't take $10 million for this today. I'm not kidding. I wouldn't take anything. I hope you can understand that. That's how I feel about it. And before I get maudlin and started crying, it would be the first bath I've had in a month. Make come your way. Let me bring a flower. That bloom in May. And if it's raining, have no regret because, look,
let's finish with Al Jolson on a happier note, the finale to one of his radio programs with one of his biggest, brousiest numbers.
Just before you go, Frank, thanks for joining me again with Al Jolson tonight. And next Wednesday night, because of Parliament, we hope to have more nostalgia on 3LO.
Let the drums roll out, let the trumpet call, while the people shout, strike up the band. Hear the cymbals ring, all in one and all, with the marshals swing, strike up the band. There is fight to be done, there's a war to be won, Come you son of a gun, take your stand. All in line ye bow, come along, let's go. Hey, leader, strike up the band. Thank you, folks. That's all for tonight. We hope you tune in next week at this time. We'll bring you another great guest star, that great American humorist, Robert Benchley. And now, ladies and gentlemen, good night. Thank you.
Don't forget, friends, it's the date for next week with Al Jolson as guest, Robert Benchley, presented by Colgate Tooth Powder, the tooth powder that cleans your breath as it cleans your teeth. This is the Columbia
Nostalgia on 3LO, 10 o'clock now.
Without a song, the day would never end. Without a song, the road would never bend. When things go wrong, a man ain't got a friend without a song. That field of corn would never see a plow. That field of corn would be deserted now. A dark is born, but he's no good no how without a song. I've got my trouble and woe, but sure as I know the Jordan will roll, I'll get along as long as the song is strong in my soul. I'll never know what make the rain to fall. I'll never know what make the grass so tall. I only know there ain't no love at all without a song. I got my trouble and woe, but sure as I know the Jordan will roll, I'll get along as long as the song is strong in my soul. I'll never know what make the rain a fall. I'll never know what makes the grass so tall.